Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel, and this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous night of the local time. And the most important updates are coming from Belarus and from Russian Federation. As you know, yesterday the president of Belarus arrived in St. Petersburg, Russian Federation, to have meeting with Putin. They talk a lot, and obviously they were talking about not just the common relations, about the common progress and economy and so on. Obviously they were talking about Ukraine, and the most important, they were talking about how to finish the special military operation and how to finish the entire situation with Ukraine. And according to information we have, the meeting between the groups of Belarus and Russia took around 8 hours. So that was the longest meeting ever. And as I understand, Russia wants Belarus to join the special military operation. But we need to understand one important thing, that Russia doesn't need Belarus to open the second front line, to send hundreds of thousands of people to war or whatever. So Russia don't want Belarus to repeat the same story as we can currently see on the combat line between Ukraine and Russia. Russia wants to repeat something that took place in 1944 in Normandy. If you remember, in 1944, during the Second World War between Soviet Union, between the world and Germany, Nazi Germany, the Western Allies opened the second front line in Normandy. And to tell the truth, in 1944, the Germany had already a lot of problems from the Soviet Union. And it was just a matter of time when Germany would be completely defeated by the Soviet Union. And the second front line was opened just to, let's say, secure some territories in Europe and to be sure that these territories that Russia and Soviet Union would not enter those territories, like France, like western part of Germany, like Belgium, like Netherlands, and many other countries in the western part of Europe. So Russia wants to do the same. They don't want Belarus to involve the war, but they want to open the second front line, and they want not just like personal Russian victory over Ukraine and over the Nazi regime in Ukraine. Russia wants to have common victory, as in 1945 when the Second World War finished. That was not like the victory of Russia, personal Russia. That was the victory of many countries, including Western countries like United States, France, United Kingdom, and Australia, many other countries from Western side, and Poland as well. And from the eastern side, that was the victory of Soviet Union, of significant number of countries like Belarus, Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. So that was a common victory for a lot of countries. And now the Russians, as I understand, they think and they understand that they're about to get 90% of the progress they need to completely defeat Ukraine. And as I understand, once again, they want to repeat the story of 1944 to open the second front line, but when everything will about to be finished. So when the situation that anything can change anything in Ukraine, and then a lot of allies of Russia can join the war and to show the unity and to show the common victory, not over Ukraine. You need to understand that Russia, according to their doctrine, are not fighting with Ukraine, not with Ukrainians. They're fighting with Nazi regime, and this is exactly what they want, and exactly how they want to finish the special military operation. The common victory for a lot of countries and for Russian allies. For example, also we got very interesting report from the Belarus Air Defense Forces. They're saying that they see the numerous number of flights of Western of NATO reconnaissance aircraft along the border, which also means something. When talking about Ukraine and when talking about the defeat of Ukraine and collapse of Ukraine, it's not just like to be defeated in the war with Russia. There are a lot of problems might appear after this situation. For example, today the Hungarian officials reported that if Ukraine falls, Hungary will demand Transcarpathia. The leader of the far-right Hungarian party, Hazank Laszlo Tarotsky. Furthermore, the same reports we received from Romania, one of the NATO countries, growing support in Romania to annex the western Ukraine region of Bukovina. If necessary, we are ready to sacrifice Romania's membership in NATO in order to return our historical territory, said the head of the nation National Council of the Tarzu party. So as you can see, the Ukrainians are facing not the problems with Russia, they will have lots of problems with the Western countries if they make a wrong decision. Now we are moving to the situation in France. For example, when talking about the common situation, the current situation, and what kind of decision the Ukrainians need to make, first of all, it's better to understand what is the real situation with military and let's say Western support, because according to information we have, France will be able to provide the Ukrainian army with 3,000 shells every month. According to information we have, Russia use probably every day around 20,000 shells. So France is able to provide Ukraine less than 10% every month of Russian use per day. So it's obviously, there is no doubts what kind of decision the Ukrainians need to make, but for some reason they are not making this. Now we are moving to the situation on the ground, and we have some details about the battle for Tabaevka and for the battle for Kislovka-Kotlarovka. The thing is that right before the Russians started that Russian greatest penetration of operation, when they managed to break the Ukrainian front line, the Russians reported that they managed to discover and to attack the positions of headquarters of 103rd Territory Defense Brigade, and as a result of that attack, the general, the head of that brigade, died. And I'll remind you that 103rd Brigade is responsible for defense operation in Kislovka, Kotlarovka, Tabaevka, in this area. And that brigade, basically at the beginning of the operation, was headless. The Russians cut the main head of this area, and of course it also gave the Russians some best, let's say, situation to continue offensive operation. Furthermore, the Russian sources reported that they managed to dig in deeper in Tabaevka. The Russians managed to improve their positions, and they managed to repel every single Ukrainian attack, and now they think what to do next. Furthermore, more and more updates are coming from Liman area. The Russian forces continue their offensive operations. If you remember, just yesterday we discussed the significant number of updates from this territory. We had the video of Russian infantry entering the tree line to the south of this forest belt. We have the video how another Russian tank was destroyed somewhere among the fields, and we have the video of Russian convoy attack with significant number of armored vehicles, personnel carriers. This video was provided by the Ukrainian sources, so that's why we will see just a few explosions of Russian armored vehicles, but not every single one armored vehicle was damaged or destroyed. Anyway, as I can see, some infantry managed to land in the area and start offensive operation and to move further deep inside of the forest in direction of Yampolovka. So as I understand, today we will continue receiving updates from this territory. So now we are finishing the updates with Ukraine, because I would like to discuss the second part of the video, the situation in the United States, in Syria, and so on. And we have lots of updates, as you know. First, let's discuss what was the base of that number of significant updates. And according to information we have, as a result of a drone strike that took place in the southeastern part of Syria, the proxy Ukrainian forces attacked this US base with drones. As a result of that attack, 3 servicemen died and up to 34 were wounded. So that was a very, I'd say, unexpected attack. That was very, I don't know how to say, what kind of word to use to describe this attack that was made by the pro-Ukrainian proxies. But there are a lot of interesting things about this attack, because at first the sources were saying that the base was attacked on the territory of Jordan. Later, the Jordan officials reported that we don't have base in this region, and the base was attacked in Syria. And as you know, this base in Syria at Tanf is illegal base. There is no, let's say, permissions or rights of United States of America to keep their base in this area. And according to information we have, this base is used by US let's say, forces to secure, to protect, and to train terrorist US proxy in this area, which US were using for some special operations on the territory of Syria. So we can read the article of Syriacs. The 10th pocket is surrounded by a series of fortifications built by Syrian army and allied militias, forming a line of defense that is occasionally patrolled by the government forces. However, the last elements of ISIS continue to move freely in the desert between the rebel zone and the government. The liberation of the Tanf base and the retaking of the border crossing would have a positive impact on the fight against terrorists in the desert, as well as the complete consolidation of the Syrian-Jordanian border for the first time since 2011. So obviously this is a very important part, important operation for Syria as well. Furthermore, we got a real and let's say official statement of U.S. authorities, and according to them, that was the first let's say statement that 3 servicemen members were killed and 25 injured, and later we got updated that the number increased till to 34. So, and this is a very interesting situation because lots of pro-US, let's say, authorities start blaming Iran in that situation, and that some US, let's say, authorities required to start war with Iran. It required and demand Joe Biden to start war with Iran, but Iranian sent a few more satellites to the sky. Those were probably reconnaissance satellite, and of course Iran, regarding the situation, regarding the rumors, talks, and the situation in Israel and Gaza, in Red Sea, they continue improving their defense, and they understand that very likely sooner or later there are going to be a war, an active phase between Iran and the United States of America. When talking about the active phase, of course, it's better to understand what kind of forces the United States of America has in this region, and according to open source, the United States have significant number of bases in the Middle East. There are 2 bases in Turkey, 22 bases in Syria, there are 12 bases in Iraq, 2 bases in Jordan, 8 bases in Kuwait, 5 in Saudi Arabia, so a significant number of bases in Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Oman, and significant number of infantry, not like thousands of hundreds, but obviously there are around 30 or 40,000 US soldiers located in this area. Of course, the United States of America is not going to use them on the ground operation, but anyway, the most important that there are forces that can do something. When talking about Joe Biden and his position about the situation, he published his own statement about this situation, and he told that, of course, it was like today America's heart is heavy. Last night, 3 U.S. service members were killed and many wounded during an unmanned aerial drone attack on our United States forces stationed in the northeast Jordan near Syrian border. So he made his own statement. It was something regular that obviously everybody should do if they were Joe Biden. But we know that this situation, at least Donald Trump tried to use the situation. He published his own statements, and according to some sources, as we know, after that attack, Trump required, demand, I don't know, or told to Republicans in the Senate to stop any negotiations about any military support of Joe Biden's, let's say, democratic forces, not to support border, not to vote for any laws about border, not to vote about anything regarding Israeli and Ukrainian support. So as I understand, Donald Trump tries to make it faster, the complete collapse of Joe Biden president period of time. Also, as we know, Trump published his own statement about the situation, and mainly that statement was about the fact that Joe Biden is the worst president of the United States of America and Donald Trump is the best one, and if he was the president, of course, there would be no war in any part of the world, including Ukraine, Iran, and so on. But the question is how the United States of America are going to reply. According to some information we have, at least the senators for Arkansas demanded Joe Biden to start war against Iran, to start bombing the territory of this sovereign country. Of course, the United States of America, they can't do this, obviously, but as I understand, the states are not going to do this because more or less they try to follow the international law, and there is no reason to start attacking Iran because there are no evidence that can connect Iran with that attack in Syria. But according to information we have, the United States of America are planning to is to conduct assassination operation. So they will try to do something like as they did in the January of 2020, when the United States killed the General Soleimani as a result of attack in Iraq, and they will try to do something like this. But once again, this operation should be very short, very fast, and this operation should be implemented probably within not even days but even hours, if Joe Biden wants to save his own reputation. And as I understand, something like this is going to happen, and this can lead to another escalation of the conflict in the world. And that's it for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds to condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.